Do you ever have moments where an idea pops into your head and instantly your eyes get big as you wonder about the possibilities? This happened to me recently, and I was doing a very American thing, listening to the radio while eating breakfast with my family in an SUV. It was a day just like today. Wind was playing with the leaves on the trees, birds were calling back and forth, alerting each other to discarded french fries from the day prior, and there I was, mouth open, not just because I bit into a jalapeno cheddar biscuit from Whataburger, but also because I had just heard a radio commercial about the protections from getting sued. And as my wife and I were just discussing this channel and silver, I connected some dots that with you, the viewer's help, I should be able to understand if buying silver can protect you in a way from civil lawsuits. Follow me, if you will. Let's say we have a guy named Steve. Steve is cool. Steve has many leather-bound books. Steve has already liked this video and is a subscriber and just told me to ask you to do the same. We like Steve. We would go to Steve's birthday party. Steve lives in a state like I do, where he can walk into a local silver shop and hand $500 over the counter and is handed an equal amount in silver. Steve likes doing this because he never gets a receipt and because it's done with cash. There is not a digital footprint. Steve is smart, if his many leather-bound books did not already tell you that. So Steve over time builds up a collection or a stack of silver that roughly amounts to $100,000 in addition to his other means of investing and using banks for savings. All is well until it isn't. This is Sally. Sally is a gold digger. Sally does not have friends. Sally is unfortunately smart as well. Sally notices Steve's welding shop and has started to create a plan to make money. Sally calls Steve and asks if Steve will come weld a custom gate for her fence, and Steve generously agrees. The morning Steve arrives, Sally covers her wall next to the fence with a clear, flammable substance so that when Steve welds, the sparks will ignite the wall and eventually the house. Sally then sues Steve. Steve is ordered to be at fault because of a shoddy investigation, which is so uncommon in our nation, and thus his assets are accounted. Bank statements are looked at, wages garnished, and savings are drained. Sally walks away happy, and if Steve were not smart, Steve would be bankrupt. But remember, Steve is smart. Steve's silver hoard, having no receipts or documentation required, went unnoticed by the sloppy Sally and her lawyers, and therefore Steve had plenty to re-establish himself, having learned a valuable lesson along the way about the importance of silver. I know this is just a story that I made up, but I need your help. I am not a lawyer, but seeing as Steve could, in theory, walk into 10 shops a day and drop $500 in silver, if he had the cash to do this in a month, he would then accrue $150,000 in silver as a backstop to protect him from the court seizing assets. Many states say that you would only have to report the sale of silver of certain amounts or values, but if you sold the same way you bought, how would that ever be traced? There are no receipts in these places. I have sold and bought from shops just like this, and there is no paper transactions other than cash. The only way that I could think that this would ever be tracked is through subpoena of video footage from establishments that sell silver, which would show you going in and out, but not show you much more, such as how much you bought. I'm not someone who's trying to push a theory, as I do not think that fear should motivate action, as getting named in a lawsuit is unlikely for the vast majority, but this idea does interest me. Having assets sheltered, so to speak, in this way may even be more secure than establishing a trust, as in a trust you create where you are the executor. It is still known that you are named in charge, and the trust could in theory be named depending on the reason of the suit, as well as you must name every asset owned by the trust, so there is not a security of assets being unknown to the court. Am I crazy, or does this sound like if you had 10% of your net worth, let's say, in silver, it would be a perfect use against lawsuits so that if you were ever sued to oblivion, you could maintain your path and reestablish yourself as only known assets would be seized? I would love to know your thoughts, as I have no idea and thought the community would serve a good aid in this journey of knowledge. Anyway, I know this is not a style of video I normally make, but if you like this content, let me know, as I'm always looking to create more love for our community and the coins we love. Thank you as always, and please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.